Welcome to the One Rental to Freedom podcast, creative investing strategies for building wealth and financial freedom through rentals. I'm your host, Chad Harris. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you back to the newly rebranded One Rental to Freedom podcast. If you're still familiar with the old name True Wealth Investors podcast, it is the same great content we've been delivering for years, just a new name. All right. So niche down so that we can more specifically add great content, great actionable ideas and techniques for you to be able to build wealth. So if you are interested in buying rentals, adding cash flow, creating generational wealth, you are in the right place. This is the show for you. And today's guest is a perfect fit. So you're going to be excited about some opportunities he has going on. And if you've heard me talk about land before, land is something I'm passionate about and I think incorporates well with rental portfolios. So make sure you stick around to hear our guest story. So without further ado, welcome, Brandon Cobb. Glad to have you, man. Good to see you again.
Yeah, well, hey, it's great to be on the show. I appreciate the opportunity. Good to see you too.
Yeah, so we're in mastermind together. So I've heard, different insights into your business, but I was really interested to have you on and hear more of the details about behind the scenes how it works. All right. So, for everybody listening, so they have a little context for who you are, what you've done over the years, can you give kind of a brief introduction of what you've built and what your focus is?
Yeah, so if you told me 10 years ago that we'd be inventing these new neighborhoods, I'd have looked at you like you had 10 heads. So I'm what you call an accidental entrepreneur. I didn't have any desire to get in real estate. I was actually already doing the thing I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I spent years trying to break into medical device sales. So that was my goal. That was my dream. Took me several years. I finally broke in. The guy who gave me the shot, my boss, he was like a father figure to me. I looked up to him. He's like a mentor, kind of coaching me on the industry. And that's what I wanted to do. The idea of wearing scrubs every single day in the hospital, rubbing shoulders with the orthopedic surgeons, like that was exciting to me. Being in the OR, getting to train hospital staff on my product, something, it's nice to sell something you believe in, right? There's a lot of intrinsic satisfaction. And so the OR,
Yeah.
seeing your product make a difference in patients' lives, that was it, man. I was very, very happy. And then one Friday afternoon, my boss said, "Hey, meet me over at Starbucks." And I was having the best possible day you could have as a sales rep, man. I mean, I was killing it. And it was one of those days where you wanted to tell your boss like how excited you are and how much money like you've made him that day. And I sit down and I'm like strolling up and you could smell the coffee. It was sunny. It was June. I remember it like it was yesterday. And before I could get the words out of my mouth, he fires me.
Mm.
And just like that, my career in medical device sales was over. Um, and I remember thinking that day, all that was going through my head was, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, I lived, breathed, and ate that job. I loved it. It was my passion. And after several hours, I learned a very important lesson, stuck with me for the rest of my life. And that was that nobody was going to look out for my financial well-being but me. You can be as loyal as you want to a company, put the blood, sweat, and tears in, climb the corporate ladder, and at the end of the day, you're just one economic event, one merger, one sale of the business away from losing your job. It's not a if it's going to happen, it's when. So nobody was going to look out for my financial well-being but me, and that's what started my journey on the path I am today. And at first, I made all the mistakes. I started a how to break into medical device sales course consulting business. That flopped. I started an online motivational blog. I was all in the motivational stuff, right? That flopped. I said, I really like the Tony Robbins stuff. Maybe I'll do this life coaching thing. Like, I'm going to be a life coach. And Chad, you're not going to believe this, but not many people want to take life advice from a 27-year-old. So that business
Yeah,
flopped.
I could see that.
Um,
Yeah.
but then, like you talk about on your show, I discovered this magic vehicle called real estate. And I started doing all kinds of flicks and flips and rentals and getting into everything that you teach. And it completely changed my life. At first I did some deals, I lost some money. But fast forward, did over 187 transaction. I don't even know how many tens of millions of dollars I did. But started flipping houses, then started building new construction, and we had a need to really scale the number of homes we were building. So we started going after land to build neighborhoods instead of these little individual lots that you could
Hmm.
build homes on. And one day we got a knock on the door. Somebody saw all this land we were developing and said, "Hey, we like your land. We want to build it and buy the houses and get you out." And we said, "Get lost." And then they came back with a contract, the price, and we looked at each other, and my partner and I, and looked at the contract and looked at each other, looked at the price, and said, "You can have it. We will sell it to you. And you want the one across the street too? We'll develop and sell that to you." So that's how we got into doing land entitlement, which is where we get the paper approved for a new community and we sell it. Or we'll actually develop the land and sell the lots to builders to build the homes.
Sharp. I like it. I love your story, and it's like a recurring theme of guests on here where there is that moment, and it's kind of like the that bottom of the valley moment, right? Where things are not going right, and you suddenly make a commitment that I have to change, and where you lost your job, and then suddenly, hey, I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to try these businesses. And I feel like so many successful people, they have that moment, and the successful ones go through it. The people who struggle feel like that's a defining moment for them. And I was talking to a newer investor recently that he was sharing his moment, right? Where he felt his back against the wall and he couldn't care for his family, wasn't providing for his family. And then he had a little bit of success, a couple deals. And I said, man, you better bottle that feeling of your back against the wall and you need to provide. And no matter how much success you have, you better keep going back to that feeling because that really is what drives so much success. So I appreciate you sharing that and the transparency of it. So let's dive into what it takes to develop land and the three different phases or the different ways that you can be involved in it. And I want to hear more from you on that process. So for my background, I love rec land. So I'm a big outdoors guy. I like hunting. I want shared adventures with my kids, right? I want to be able to enjoy that experience. And so I look at a lot of land as how to improve it for recreational use. But I know that that's not the best end use for all land. And I know there's a lot of opportunities where development would be a much more profitable end use. So let's dive in for everybody listening who has that interest in land. They're looking at land deals, and maybe they just see one exit. What does it look like a land deal where your end result is that development side? And what are the three ways you can profit on that?
Yeah, there's so many things that you can do with land. In fact, your strategy is something that I just discovered in 2025 last year. I was like, wait a minute, you can go and get like deer, like, nice bucks and put them on there and it becomes more valuable and get it ready to like navigate a little bit better with the trucks and the RVs. And I was like, man, this is really cool. So you can do so much with it. For us, our strategy is centered around delivering affordable housing units to the market because that's where a big need is. And when I say affordable, it's not Section 8, it's not government housing. We're just talking about that first time home buyer housing product. That's it. And
Sure.
the reason we're focused on that, there's high demand, low supply, and that's what national home builders want. All we do with our strategy is we go find our buyer, figure out what it is that they want, and we just reverse engineer and give it to them. So we work with like Lennar, DR Horton, Dreamfinders Homes, Ryan Homes, NVR, those kind of guys. And it's very, very simple. I mean, it's so simple. There's just not a lot of people out there teaching it. One is we We go and we find the type of land that we're going after. We put it under contract, and then we get what's called a concept plan done. All that concept plan is it's a 2D aerial view of the neighborhood. That's it. You're staring at rooftops and driveways and the roads, right? Civil engineer can give you one of those.
Okay.
And you take that concept plan to the city. And if the city's excited about it, and they're like, yeah, we want this. Well, then we bring it to our list of builders, our buyers, and say, hey, do you want this? The city's on board. And if they say, yeah, and they send us a contract with a earnest money deposit, then we do the deal. I mean, that's it. That it's really that simple on the beginning stages of it. Now, obviously, there's a little bit more to it, but that would be the first phase. So the first phase is called land entitlement. That's where we're just taking a piece of raw land and we're getting it approved for a new community. No construction, no bulldozers, no building homes, no nothing. We just take a piece of land to get it approved for a new community and sell it because we create a ton of equity when we do it. And the cool thing is, we don't have to buy the land. We put it under contract with an option with the seller. And we explain to the seller, hey, how much do you want for your land? What do you think it's worth? And we go, great, we're going to pay you more than that. You happy with that? And they go, well, how are you going to do that? And I go, because we're going to force appreciate it through this process. And so we're going to pay you more money. But Mr. Seller, I need you to hang in there with me. Give me the time I need to get the approval. And once I get the approval done, I'll close within 60 days. And they're usually head over heels because it's usually a life changing amount of money that we're giving these people. So that's the first phase. So just taking the land, getting it approved. The second phase is where we actually start bulldozing and bringing in the construction equipment. This is where we grade the land out, we put the roads in, we put the sewer, the water. We basically create a empty neighborhood with no homes on it. And then we sell the individual lots to the builders that can then build the homes. And so that's phase two. And then phase three, and this is kind of where we came into this business, is actually building the homes, right? You know, we can do that. So like right now, we're really doing a lot of phase one land entitlement and phase two land development.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, for most people, that phase three of actually building the houses, that's pretty intimidating, right? I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces there, but I like the that first phase there, the land entitlement, where you're not even really purchasing the land, you're setting up the deal for the builder. So let's unpack one of those deals a little bit. Is there a certain type of land that would appeal to that end buyer? Is there a certain amount of acreage? Is there a certain grade? What are you looking for? Is it wooded? Is it old row crop land? What's the ideal parcel?
Yeah. So very easy. All you're going to do is you're going to go Google your top 10 builders, whoever they are. Go just chat GPT it in my market, you know, so type in top 10 builders, Nashville, Tennessee. Boom, there you go. And if you go to their website, just Google Lennar, Nashville, Tennessee neighborhoods, NVR, Nashville, Tennessee neighborhoods. Just go to their websites. They have a map of all their communities. They've told you where they want to be. So we go into those areas, and here's what we're looking for. We go in and we'll pull up the GIS parcel map. There's other apps you can use that are great. The GIS is usually free, so there's a county website that has all the parcels. It looks like a big puzzle piece, and all the pieces of land fit together like a perfect puzzle. And we're looking for the large pieces of land next to all of the neighborhoods. What we're doing
Yeah.
is we want sewer. That is the key. The parcel really needs access to the sewer because the sewer is how you create density. When you have sewer, you can get more homes on that piece of land. And you can reach out to your local water authority department. So, whoever is the water authority department that manages the water and the sewer, they have the maps. So, just send them an address, say, hey, I'd like the sewer maps for this area, and they'll send it to you. And you can see where the sewer lines run and if you've got access to it. That's what we're really looking for. If we can be in the same area that they're building, on a piece of land that has access to sewer, that is the big checkbox. The next is how many units can we actually fit on it? Well, it depends on the type of product. I can probably get 12 to 15 townhomes per acre. Whereas a single family home, I'm probably going to, max be able to get 5 or 6. It depends on the size of the lots that are being approved. So, how do you determine the size of the lot that the city is approving? You look at the developments that are already happening. So when you use apps like Landglide or Land ID, these are a few bucks a month. You can actually go in and you can just measure. It shows you the size of the lot. And you'll see a lot of them are probably 50 by 130 feet. And so I'm like, cool. All right. 50 by 130 feet. Well, that's pretty easy. Okay. All right. And so if you know the size of the lot, and you know the amount of land, you can now estimate how many units you could potentially get out of it. And if you want the formula for it, go to learnlanddevelopment.com. There's a free course called Land Development 101, and we teach like the little formula we use to find out how many units. But typically 5 acres is kind of that minimum amount, right? Again, the
Okay.
density. Why? Most of these national home builders, they want at least 50 units. So again, you could do less. You could do a 15, 20, 30 unit if you want. And maybe they'll buy it. The local builders probably will buy it. But like we're focused on the big boys because we get really good terms from them. 50 units. That's the amount they kind of need to justify putting a neighborhood there. And so we're going after land where we can do 100, 200, plus. And that kind of gives you an idea of sort of what we're going after.
Okay. Sure. It's interesting. I like it. So, one thing I've heard in our area that's difficult is getting that approval to build, right? And it sounds to me like with your model, that's one of the key things before a builder will obviously pay for it. They have to know they already have the approval
Mhm,
to build, right?
mhm.
What's that process like? How do you get that approval on the front end?
Yeah, great question. And by the way, you, just to nuance this, you don't necessarily have to have sewer. Look at what other neighborhoods have. Like in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, it's a very hot city. There's no sewer down there. It's all septic systems. So they're building houses and septic systems are selling. So it's whatever's already being approved, right? So I don't want people to kind of get hung up on that. If you see neighborhoods being built on with septic systems, like you don't have to have the sewer, but you're not going to get quite as much density. The lots are going to be bigger because you've got to
Right.
put a septic system on it and run the fill lines.
And either
So
way, you need city approval, right? Either
either
way.
way, you need
Yeah.
city approval. Yeah. And so here's what we do. This is the mistake most developers make. They get a concept plan done. They shove as much density on it as humanly possible. They don't talk with the builders with the type of product that they want to put on there. And then they go and spend this money on some light engineering. They pay the fees to submit to the city. They show up to the hearing, and the city says denied. That's not what you want to do. Here's how we approach it. When we have something, we go and we get that concept plan done. I'll talk to you. But we go meet with the city first. And you can go meet with either, if you're in a like a suburb area, I'm probably going to meet with the planning director. That's the liaison between the developers and the council. If you're in a metropolis area, like a big city, they have council members that are over certain districts. So you might need to meet with the council person. We go up and we introduce ourselves. Hey, my name's Brandon. I'm a new developer in town. I understand that you're the go-to person, for developers. Hey, look, we want to align ourselves with the community and the vision for what you guys want. Um, what are some things developers that have done to create win-win for you? What's the council approving right now? Are there any products they don't want? Are there any products that they're more, focused on? What are the citizens complaining? Here's a magic question. Mr. Council Person, Mr. Planning Director, what do you get the most phone calls and complaints about? What are people bugging you about? If you can figure out how to make your development solve that problem, you've got there because they just want to make the people happy. They're elected officials. So maybe it's a dog park, maybe it's green space. Here in Wilson County, I know they do not want townhome products. Do not bring them something that is a townhome product. They want detached single family residential units. So if you do that ahead of time, if you go and do a needs assessment with the city, because they have a vision for the community and they need the
Right.
developers to help bring that vision to life. If you understand what that vision is and what their pain points are, and you can start talking to them, I'll get to that in a second. That's the first step. We want to bring them something that aligns with their needs and wants.
That's
So
sure.
that's
Yeah.
what most people don't do. So if we have something, don't go try to shove it down their throat. We get that feedback. I go doctor it up and say, thanks for listening. Let me go out and see what I can do. And then 2 weeks later, I pop up, hey, I found something. Here you go. Like you said you wanted a dog park, you said you wanted single family. This is it. And they're usually pretty, receptive if you've done it right. So that's the first step
I
that you
like
can
that.
create you can remove a lot of headache if you do that.
Yeah.
And then, if you want to, I can get into the actual process, if you want at this point. But that's a huge step that most people don't do that you should be doing.
Yeah, that's interesting because I'm thinking back to different people I've talked to that were complaining about their project not being accepted or approved. And I do think it was more of a perspective of they didn't want my product. They wouldn't let me build, which is the opposite perspective than what you're presenting. You're presenting not going in and looking for approval right away, but asking them, what have you already approved? What does this community want? What's the community looking for? And they're telling you what they're after, and then you present a product that fits that. That's a totally different perspective. I like that.
Yeah.
That's sure.
And so the approval process is pretty straightforward. Um, you're going to do something called a preliminary plat approval. So you're going to submit for that. And it is your concept plan, but now it's got some engineering onto it a little bit. So
Okay.
in order for them to give you the preliminary plat approval, they're going to be like, okay, the concept looks great. How's the stormwater going to flow around it? What's the grade and slope of the foundations of the homes going to be? They just want to see that it's feasible. And so you're going to get a little bit of engineering done to it. You'll submit it, and there will probably be a couple back and forth meetings. Once they approve it, you have an approved development. You have a preliminary plat approval. That is huge. That is a huge step out of the way. But it's just the first step. Now, what's happened is they have approved the development contingent on seeing the civil drawings. Civil drawings are like architectural plans for a house. You might have a vacant lot that's zoned to build a house, but the city isn't going to give you a building permit until they see the architectural plans. The codes department has passed it to make sure that the home has windows that are wide enough for the fire department to get in, to make sure the home isn't too close to the power lines, creating a fire height, all that kind of stuff. And once you submit and the city reviews the architectural plans, they give you the building permit to build the home. It's the same thing. The civil drawings are what's the slope of the lot? What's the slope of the road? How deep is the sewer going? How deep is the water going? What's the storm water look like once it's fully developed? And so that's what your civil engineer is going to do. He's going to create those civil drawings, and then you'll submit them to the city. The city has their own internal civil engineer department that will review it. They'll go back and forth with your civil team until they get it right and perfect. And then they will stamp and they will approve those civil drawings. And once they do that, the city has passed it. Now it goes up to the state to approve. So the city's passed it, and the state is really looking for the big gotchas. They'll issue a SWIP permit, Storm Water Prevention Plan. That's what SWIP stands for. SWPP, Storm Water Prevention Plan. All the state's looking at is this thing going to flood and people going to die, and we're going to have to send the FEMA or whoever out to save people, right? Once the state passes it, you can go pull a grading permit. And at that point, you're ready to sell your project to the end builder.
Sure. It's interesting. And what's the typical cost for the engineering work to get that final approval?
So, but in Tennessee, so it depends on where you are. Okay. I always tell people if you're in California, God bless your soul
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this because it is more expensive and it is much, much longer. So we're typically seeing about $2,500 per unit in engineering costs. So, like in our land development accelerator community, what we teach is get it to that preliminary plat approval and cost that much money to get to the preliminary plat approval. Where things get costly is the civil drawings. At that point, you can now go raise capital because you've got an in contract from a builder, your buyer. You've got the approval from the city. You just need the money to get the civil drawings done. So you can go raise private capital, or there's firms, family offices, institutions that'll invest in your deal and give you money. And they focus on that type of stuff. But you risked a lot of it once you get to that preliminary plat approval. But yeah, if we're doing like a 100 home community, we're probably going to spend $250,000 on civil drawings, and we'll reach out to our investor partners to do that kind of stuff.
Okay. So for somebody who's, interested in it, well, two questions here. Let's walk through what are some rough numbers. You've got this acreage that we're going to put 100 units on. You've got 250,000 in engineering costs. What would be a potential contract price for the land and then
Mhm.
sale price to the builder? What are we looking
Yeah.
at?
So one we did, we took a piece of raw land. I'll show you one we're working on, and then like a smaller deal. So I'll show you a big one, a small one. So small deal, kind of the minimum. We took a piece of land and we got it approved for 42 townhome units. Took us about a year, about 13 months. We were lined up with a big local builder to buy it. We were under contract for $900,000. We had to kind of renegotiate and give them some money to buy us a little bit more time. We were all in at 925. It was 42 units. So I don't know what the math is per unit on that, but we ended up selling it for a little over $1.6 million on that particular deal. That's kind of the smallest number. And we had about 75,000 in civil engineering fees on that project. And the civil engineer was paid on the back end. So he was paid once the project sold on the HUD. So that's an example of kind of a small project. We're working on one right
In
now.
in
What
that example, was it ag land? What was the land before you got it under contract for development?
It was like 6 acres. It had a home already on it,
Okay.
and it was in an area where the city wanted to see development.
So it was just repurposing already residential land and making it,
Mhm.
yeah, a lot more people per acre, essentially. Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure.
And so one right now, it's 96 units we're working on. We're under contract for $2.5 million. We'll probably spend 250,000 on the civil engineering drawing. So we'll be all in about $2,750,000. By the time it is done, it'll probably be worth somewhere around 3.8, 3.9, maybe $4 million, somewhere around there.
Nice. Okay. And is there any way to have any kind of residual income from the deal? Or is it truly more like a flip where once it's done and you move on to the next deal?
Yeah, so there's no passive income created from them. So a lot of people in our mastermind community that do this, they're full-time real estate entrepreneurs. They have cash flow. So cash flow is key. You've got to have that foundation first before you get into this business because there's no cash flow for like a year, year and a half while you're doing this, but it's big hits. These are the generational wealth building deals. I only do like 3 deals a year. I don't want to do 50, 60, 100, all that kind of stuff. Like we only need to do a handful of deals a year and focus on these and that's pretty much it. And it just takes one to really get you where you need to have cash flow to be able to, continue doing them. But it's great to add on to an existing real estate business. Like the people in our mastermind community, we have hard money lenders that have this hard money lending business and they want to add these big hits to it. And so they add this to it. We've got wholesalers and house flippers that have the residual income that want to add these big hits to it. We've got people that are land flippers and they've got the business built and they just want to step up and start doing larger land deals. So it's not like stop whatever real estate thing that you're doing and focus on this. That is not it. This is a great ancillary product to add to your real estate business because if you're already marketing, If you're already going out hunting real estate, you just
Right.
add this to it
Yeah.
and, just do one deal a year. And you don't have, you can do smaller deals too. You know, we were doing like 20, 30 unit deals kind of when we first started. And you can make $500,000 on those and it's great, right? Because if you've got your real estate producing your cash flow, this is just icing on the cake, right? You just dump this money into investments or more real estate, quite frankly, and you can really do some incredible things over a decade with this. I mean, we're talking about, true generational
Right.
wealth, the kind that's
Yeah.
serious and not what people just talk about.
Sure. So if somebody says, "Yeah, I'm interested. This is exciting," right? We like the numbers. I like land. Maybe I'm already looking at parcels of land. Is there a first step for them to look in their area? What's the easiest way for them to figure out if development is even happening in their area? Nashville's obviously growing, right? You've got large population swings and people moving to
Mhm.
the area. Some areas of the Rust Belt, people aren't moving there. It's really going to depend on the area where there are buildings actually being put up, right?
Mhm.
So what's a good way for people to just figure that out on the front end?
Just go to Zillow and go to the section that says the year of the home and type in the past year or 2 years and see how many homes pop up. If you have a cluster of those little sold, what it looks like on Zillow, a little cluster of those little yellow dots in one area. Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
probably a development. Go look at it. Dude, you get Chat GPT now. Just go ask Chat GPT, hey, send me a list of the developments in new neighborhoods that have been built in this zip code over the past year and a half or whatever. And so you can, yeah, same thing. Google the top 10 national home builders and go Google their name with your city. So Lenore, Nashville, Tennessee, neighborhoods. Go click on it, look at the map, and the map shows you all the communities. It's very, very easy to do that.
I like that. Yeah, it is very easy. So, okay, perfect. Well, if anybody listening would like to hear more about what you have going on, the deals, what is involved in your mastermind, what's a good way for them to do that?
Yeah, there's two types of people that we serve. The first are people that want to learn how to do what we're doing, right? And so we've got a free course that's put together to help people get started with this to see if this is something that they want to do. You can go to learnlanddevelopment.com. You'll see the button below the video. Just it says Land Development 101. Click that, enter in your email, and it'll send you that free course. So get started with that. And that course has so much great information. We interview civil engineers, we interview national home builders. It's like 8 hours of content. It's a lot, but it'll give you a really good idea of what's involved in the industry. So you can go there and grab that. If you're interested in being part of a community of people that are doing these types of deals, if you like the idea of somebody hand holding you through your first deal, we've got our mastermind community called the Land Development Accelerator. Same thing on the website, learnlanddevelopment.com. Watch the video, it explains that. The second type of person we help are people that just want to invest and have it create income. So they just want to be an investor. They don't want to find the deals. They don't want to manage deals. They've got capital. Maybe they've got their own business that's doing really well. If that's you, you can go to hbgcapital.net/waitlist. So that's pronounced HBG, Harry Bob Gary, capital.net/waitlist. There's a video you can watch. It explains our whole strategy. And if you want, you can book a call with me and kind of explore it a little bit more. We've also got a free ebook, 100 questions business owners ask before investing. And if you go to the same website, hbgcapital.net, so no wait list, just hbgcapital.net, you can grab that free ebook.
Sure. Appreciate it. Brandon, I've enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for coming on and breaking out the details of your strategy. I like it.
Thanks.
I'm probably going to be doing a chat search and Google search and see what builders are in our area and see how those land acquisitions could fit with the rec land side. So appreciate all your insights. Thanks again.
You got it, man. Thank you.
So, for everybody listening, as always, if you like the content, if you benefited from the conversation, please like, follow, subscribe, share it with somebody you know that you think would benefit from the information. That helps us reach more people. And as always, our purpose here and goal is just to help more people succeed in their business, change their financial future, and create wealth. So, all right, until next week, keep building your dream life one door at a time. All right, everybody, I have a really good gift for you to help you out. So, in recent episodes, we've talked about some really great partnerships we have that will help any of you get motivated seller leads, right? So you'll get a text when they get the lead and they'll just give that lead to you. Or we have a direct mail partner who will help with direct mail to make sure you can reach the people that you want and get those leads contacting you. Okay, great services, don't cost any extra. Just make sure that your marketing is impactful and you get a return on your money. All right. So the gift isn't related to those. The gift is that some people are kind of nervous by the idea, those services are great, but now I get a seller on the phone and what do I do? What do I say? Right? And it's kind of intimidating. Everybody, when they get started, feels a little intimidated or nervous by it. And really, you just need a script so that you know what things to talk about with the seller on the phone. You don't have to think about it. You just follow the script, have a human conversation with the seller, take an interest in them, and follow the script. Just that easy. All right. And so the benefits of the script are you don't get distracted in the conversation. You can just follow the progression of that script, makes it super easy, can give you confidence so that you know what to say when, and it actually helps that seller know that you're professional and serious and you know what you're talking about. All right. So you can get that script at truewealthinvestors.com/call script and that will give you the free download so you can have that script. Then when that seller calls, you know exactly what to say. All right. I hope that helps, and I know it will. See you soon. We are adding new episodes every week, so make sure to follow and subscribe. If you are a real estate investor or want to get started investing and you want to grow or scale with our help, go to truewealthinvestors.com. That's truewealthinvestors.com and schedule a short discovery call. I'll look at where your business is and offer a proven plan to get you and your business to the next level. We'll see you on the next episode.